efficiency is very important because we urgently need a growth engine. So these negotiations cannot just take on for years and years to finish. TPP, for example, has been there. 11 economies are still working on it. There are debates about who should be part of it. And then there's RCEP talking about 2 to even 5 years, even though the deadline was earlier. So, all of these things going on, we can't have that patience. We need the growth engine.
Sure, but the point is, it's not as if while you're doing these discussions, life stops. Life goes on, and countries must and do indeed continue the structural reform agenda. So you have a structural reform agenda, which is what is going to unleash the efficiency and the productivity that you need to continue to spur growth. And I think several of the countries are still very much focused on these agendas and continuing to implement them.
Right.
And then, of course, trade will also help. In any case, they need to implement these agendas to be competitive, and to move towards a more productivity-led growth model.
Victoria, as we are talking about right here, the bilateral meeting that the world is looking at between China and the United States is also taking place. What do you expect these two countries, two of the biggest economies of the world and certainly of the region, to do at this point?
Well, I think, look, everybody's looking to these two countries. They are in different ways leaders, and I think that if they can agree on a way to live together and to cooperate and to be leaders in a joint manner, I think that would be great. Now, I don't want to prejudge the outcome of the conversations, but I think no. I think cooperation on the economic front, cooperation on political front in terms of resolving some of the tricky geopolitical issues, I think that would be great if they could work out some of these things.
Yeah.
We need the two countries to get along. It's good for all of us and it's good for the global community. So I think we're all watching to see what happens.
That's right. You see different economies are making their efforts to come up with their own remedies to their economy. As you said earlier, structural reform urgently needed for a lot of countries. China included. Earlier at the 19th Party Congress, Chinese Xi Jinping, the General Secretary of the CPC, talking about reform and opening up. Still one of the most important remedy for the Chinese economy. But what about, for the other largest economies of the Asia-Pacific region, the U.S. included? What do you think from the World Bank's perspective for them to also be able to contribute not their own growth, but also the growth of the region?
Well, I don't think they're any different from China. Reform is going to be very important. Where everybody's talking about the fourth industrial revolution. What this means is that you're going to run your economies on higher productivity.
That's right.
It's fundamental, and you have to get in the game. You have to have your economies operate much more efficiently, fewer distortions, openness to new ideas, to innovations, get good institutions that allow you to maximize your potential, and remove barriers that stand in the way of business happening.